Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at r/best of Redditor updates. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, so first post is from Direct Caterpillar 77 and the title is Am I the Butthole for stopping picking up lunch since my manager tried to force me to go to a restaurant that I will not support? So Direct Caterpillar is not the original poster, they are the person who just compiled this into one nice little place for us. The original poster is u/lucky number 11. We do have some trigger warnings, trigger warning for hostile workplace and racism, and a mood spoiler for frustrating but a very satisfying end, which I love to see. So, originally posted September 19th, 2021. I currently work in an office of 14 people. Since I mainly work with clients in a different time zone, I come into the office a bit later than everyone else. Their office hours are 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m, and I am 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Because of that, I started to pick up lunch for some of my co-workers on my way to work. What started off as a nice thing for 1 to 2 people turned into most of the office giving me their orders. I had 3 rules. 1. Only one restaurant a day, all orders had to come from that location. 2. I would not go to 2 restaurants out of moral principles. These are forbidden restaurants and no order to them will be accepted. 3. Your order will be rounded up to the nearest dollar plus $1. If your order was $7.28, it would be $9 for me to pick it up. Still way cheaper than any other service out there. Cash on lunch delivery or prepaid for the week will be accepted. For the most part, I had no trouble with these rules, except one co-worker and the vice president. They both would want me to go to one of the restaurants that I would not go to. Every week I would explain I do not buy from that company. Every week they would try to get me to go there. Now, this drama started on Friday. After I came in and gave everyone their orders, I was called into the office with the vice president and told that I am bullying and excluding the co-worker from my little lunch club and must include him in it by going to the forbidden restaurant. I told them I would solve the problem, but explained that Saturday's orders were already in and Mondays is when the change would happen. I can already see what the OP is going to do next, yes? Yeet that lunch club into oblivion. Well, on Saturday, after I dropped off the orders, I cancelled the lunch club in a company-wide email, stating the facts that I am being forced to add forbidden restaurant by vice president to my pickups, and I cannot, under my moral and religious fibre, I cannot support forbidden restaurant. So, effective immediately, the lunch club is disbanded, and Monday everyone is on their own with their lunch orders. I will refund any money that is left if their orders were prepaid and to see me to get your money. I do not pick up lunch on most Sundays. Well, half the office supported my decision and the other half is pissed off at me for stopping the service. It was a huge time saver and pretty cheap since I picked up the orders on my way to work for them. I never really made a lot of money off of this, maybe enough to cover my daily lunch at best, maybe $15 to $16 a day on a really good day. Edits, this is an alt account for privacy reasons, so I will reply if I have time to, thanks. I think I may be the asshole mostly due to the sudden stop of my service, may leave some without a clear lunch plans. Some co-workers seem really ticked off because of it and also want food from forbidden restaurant. I mean, I'm not being funny though. If somebody is going out of their way to go and pick you up lunch on their way into work, this is not on work time, by the way, and this is not a work obligation. This is something that the OP has decided to do to be nice, and yes, they get a little bit of a kickback off it, but it's not like they're making like mega bucks. They're making enough to pay for their lunch, which I think is fair if they're going out of their way in their own time, because again, it's their own time before they get to work. That is their own time to go and pick everyone up lunch. And they say, look, there are 2 restaurants I will not go to. I think that's fair. And if people want to get food from that restaurant, order it in yourself. Like, this is such a silly thing to get so like butthurt about. I feel like this is more about a bit of a power trip from the vice president, I'm not gonna lie, than it actually is about it being such a big issue, because you can't accuse someone of bullying because they just won't go to a certain restaurant. Like, that's ridiculous at the end of the day. The OP doesn't have to do this at all. So, relevant comments. Limerays says, not the butthole. I have a forbidden fast food restaurant that my friend jokingly calls fascist chicken. I wonder where that is. Is that like KFC? Is that where that is? I never give them money either. I applaud you for standing by your ideals and refusing to be bullied. They didn't want to be excluded. Okay, now they're not. Everyone else isn't getting lunches either. If people are upset, tell them to complain to the ones responsible for your cancellation. Would you reinstate picking up lunches if they apologised and agreed to stop asking about the forbidden restaurants? Edit, I actually remembered a second fast food place that I won't eat at. They left my county after minimum wage was raised, and I refused to support a business that won't pay a decent minimum wage. Absolutely fair. Yeah. OOP then says, probably not. A few others have pointed out some pretty bad liability that may come my way if I continue. Since I am transporting food, anything that happens to it, or if someone accidentally gets something that may trigger an allergy, the blame could be put on me. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Author Kimberly says, not the butthole. Picking up their lunches isn't your job. You are doing it as a courtesy. They can use a delivery service since they can't respect your rules. And then the OOP says, yep, starting Monday, they can order from whoever they want and pay for it. And then August Cortez says, my one question though, was it truly something that they should have stepped into? From what I can tell, OP did this on their own time. Therefore, they could pick up food from wherever they please. All in all, definitely a power play. Exactly. As someone stated, they had a good deal going on until someone thought they had some authority here. And then Kermavexus says, nothing wrong with building a little camaraderie as long as OP was willing to do it. It sounds like this wasn't originally a work-sanctioned thing, but just steadily grew. Everyone, almost, was fine with it until it became an issue, so I don't think OP felt like they were being exploited, since they were getting some food for their efforts. The rules were reasonable, and I think OP was fine to blacklist any restaurant for any reason. Yeah, because it could have even been like, yeah, that restaurant's nowhere near on my way in, so I don't want to go there. Like, I'm not going that far out of my way. Like, there could be many reasons why you'd be like, I'm not going to specific restaurants, you know? VP decided to throw his weight around and killed the goose that laid the golden eggs. If people wanted the blacklisted restaurant, they could have organised a separate run. So then the OOP says, this is pretty much spot on. I was getting lunch anyway. I would always do a quick calculation to see how much I would be earning and order something less than that, so I was getting my lunch paid for out of this deal. Both VP and co-worker would use me to pick up their lunches at times, and both would sometimes use a service to get food from the forbidden restaurant. So they just didn't like that they have to pay more to get it from the forbidden restaurants then. My guess, this is about saving money and a power play on me more than anything. See, I don't know. I think it could be a mixture. Honestly, I think they're like, wait, why is everyone else getting their meals every day? We want to save money. But I do also think it is a bit of a power play. I feel just the way that the vice president went about discussing it with the OP gives me that vibe. Anyway, updated September 26th, 2021, 1 week later. Some details first. I was hired mainly due that I am bilingual with the client's main language and know the business. So, to fire me, you would need 2 people to replace me. As many of you have guessed, one of the forbidden restaurants is Chick-fil-A. We don't have that here. Someone fill me in. What did they do? As for the second one, it is partly due to me working there and having an issue with the franchise owner and not the whole franchise itself. I have no issues ordering vegan, Muslim or Jewish food for those who wanted it. Some of the locations I visited and picked up lunch even had those options. I emailed and spoke with the owner of the company. I'm basically in the clear. For those worried about any potential raise or promotions being stopped by the vice president, who really is just a glorified office manager who makes us call him vice president, and you still think it wasn't a power play? That alone makes me think it absolutely was. That will not be an issue. I will not really be getting a promotion. There really is not currently a promotion available, but I did get a raise out of this. Onward, Monday I was called into a meeting with the vice president and myself only. He told me that this was not what he meant and I need to sort something out by the end of the day or there will be consequences. I called and emailed the owner about this. Refunds were given out. At this point, I am holding no one's money. My lunch was a famous fresh beef burger, which I ate at my desk. Tuesday, I had a meeting with the vice president and owner. Owner made it very clear to vice president that I am to be left alone. I am allowed to continue my lunch club as I want, if I want to. I made it clear that I will no longer be willing to do so. I had Taco Bell, not my best choice. Wednesday, business as normal. I ate a fresh grilled chicken sandwich and fries from Zaxby. Thursday, most of my co-workers that were originally pissed off at me for stopping the service asked me if I could start it up again. I said no. Too much of a risk with vice president and co-worker. I bought in a bacon and cheeseburger, plus nuggets and fries, $5 special, and a small Frosties from Wendy's. Friday, co-worker greeted me at the entrance, called me several very racial names. Well, that's a hell of a turn. What the hell? And knocked my Arby's out of my hand, kicked it, and left the building. Oh my life. That's a hell of a spiral. Over lunch? I mean, to be honest, it speaks volumes to what the co-worker is like anyway then, because if you're going to start racially abusing someone over lunch, I mean, it says all it needs to about the type of person that they are, doesn't it? He was met with police and the owner and terminated when he came back from lunch. I am now allowed to work from home again, with bi-weekly office meetings. Saturday, spent most of the day getting my home office set up again. I had a can of instant potato, cheddar and bacon soup for lunch. Honestly, sometimes canned soup actually does hit the spot quite well. I have had this weird illness for the past flipping week now, and it's still clinging on to me like overzealous ex-boyfriend. And I tell you now, I've had enough. I have been nauseous since last Thursday. The day I'm recording this is Wednesday. So I feel disgusting. So no, it's not been over a week. It's been just under a week. And I just can't eat properly. Like, if I have to stand there and properly cook for myself, I can't eat it. So I'm like cooking for the kids and I'm not able to even eat it. It's driving me mad. But I had some like canned soup the other day and honestly, it was the best thing I'd had in ages. I don't know what this bug is though, but it's driving me mental. So, final comments. 200 Tab says, wow, that was a ride. I love the fact that you included your daily lunches in your update. The co-worker seems like he had a problem with you outside of the lunch club and that he was using the lunch club as a way to control you. Possibly. I'm glad that he was terminated and also faces criminal charges. I'm sad that you lost your Arby's lunch that day, but it did also create a basis for you to work from home, so I want to focus on that. And I'm sure that the vice president got a dressing down for his role in letting the co-worker feel that he could control you. Yeah, definitely. I hope that he gets terminated too, as the owner probably is worried that he'd be the source of the next incident. Thanks for the update and good luck with future developments at this job. OOP then says, working from home is the biggest plus here, since Vice President was the one who forced us to come back to the office. I also hope he gets terminated, but unless he does something major that costs the owner some money, it's not likely, since he is related to the owner by marriage. Damn. I was given a $250 monthly allowance on top of my raise for office supplies, so I see some PC upgrades in my future. Personally, I think that money was probably hush money trying to get the OP to please don't report our company for allowing you to be racially, verbally abused in the workplace, but I mean, if the OP's happy, they're working from home now, they're happy with the way everything was sorted, they're happy that they're getting that allowance, I am happy for them, and I am very glad that that co-worker was given his marching orders, because that is awful, and that person is not a good person. So, Down in the comments of the Best of Redditor Updates post, Stop Thinking It's Me says, lunches seem banging, but damn, the entitlement is crazy. If you're old enough to work, you're old enough to figure out your lunch. Yeah, has no one heard of a packed lunch? And then Moonlit Bailey says, exactly. OP wasn't a delivery service, they were doing a favour. The fact adults felt entitled to someone else's time and morals is wild. Figure out your own lunch line, everyone else. Yeah, I mean, I know the OP was getting enough money to buy their lunch, so you could say that they were kind of doing a service. To be fair, you could argue that. However, whichever way you turn it, this was not a contractual obligation that OP had with their workplace. This was something the OP decided to do off their own back. They are allowed to stop doing that whenever they want, and they were saving everyone a lot of money. So everyone was winning, and then someone had to ruin it, and it is just tough, unfortunately. Okay, then next post, also shared by Direct Caterpillar. My co-worker won't stop complaining about my tattoos. So this one was from Ask a Manager, and I've been told by one of you guys actually that that's like a separate site altogether, but it kind of merges with Reddit quite often in some way or another. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember now what it was they exactly said, but that's why there's no username here for the OP. So yeah, if you're wondering why, that's why. So then we've got trigger warnings for hostile work environment, body shaming, verbal abuse, and then a mood spoiler, shocking, but ultimately positive. Good. I'm glad that it gets positive. Originally posted June 3rd, 2019. I started a new job in December. Carol started in February. We work for a small company with 6 of us in production. We're not customer facing in any way. Carol was fine with me until the weather warmed up and I wore short sleeves. At which point, she discovered that I have tattoos. She took me aside that same day to tell me how unprofessional she thought I was for having them. I pointed out that workplace norms are changing in general and that our particular workplace doesn't care. It didn't matter. They were unprofessional, and that was that. For reference, we're both women in our 50s. Carol is actually 8 months younger than I am. I'm not the only one with ink, but I am the only woman. And the shipping guys are in the other building, so she probably doesn't realise that both of them do too. I wonder if she does though, and it's just because the OP's a woman and she's being a bit like, you know, meh. I can't think of the word right now, it's gone out my brain, sorry. Since then, she has spoken to me repeatedly about them, and when I refused to engage, I started with a briskly cheerful, "So you've said, I disagree," and then, "You've said, and I'm not talking about this anymore," and I'm now just ignoring her, muttering, "I don't blame you." She's taken to talking to herself about it. She has also gone to 3 of our co-workers to complain about them. Those ladies are all senior to us, but beyond keeping an eye on the production schedule, they are not supervisory in any way. We think she'd like me to cover them, but she knows she doesn't have any standing to say that, and I don't have any reason to. They're not offensive. One set is flowers, the other is geometric-ish paisley, and nobody here cares. And so they shouldn't. Nothing annoys me more when I hear people say, tattoos are unprofessional. Why? Why are they unprofessional though? Like, give me a good reason why art on skin is unprofessional. Why? Who makes that metric to measure what is unprofessional and what is not? Like, who gets to say that someone's body is unprofessional and what is on it is unprofessional? I think it's so stupid that if you were anything but the societal norm, that's unprofessional. It's so friggin' stupid. Like, honestly, I just think the people that make these rules or, you know, think up these rules in their heads just have sticks up their asses. I'm dreading summer. This is an elderly building and poorly air conditioned, and I'm told that tank top and shorts are the norm. She's going to be really wound out when she figures out the gauntlets she dislikes so much are actually full sleeves, plus the edges of a few others that will show. Our HR person is very part-time and mostly for onboarding benefit type things. I can go to our owner who I think would be responsive, but this feels like something I should be able to handle on my own. And so far I'm having no luck. Well, there you go then. Go to your boss. Can you provide any advice on a one last try script at shutting her down on the topic? Or should I just go straight to boss lady? Straight to boss lady is what I would be doing personally. You've tried, you've been polite and said, stop going on about it. You've been a lot more stern and said, I'm not talking about this is not up for discussion. And you've even just ignored her completely at this point. And that's not helping. So yeah, straight to the boss lady would be my way of doing it then. Update, June 27th, 2019, 3 weeks later. So, the situation with Carol has been resolved. I actually spoke to her the same day that you posted my letter. I ran into her in the break room and she started in again. I interrupted her and said, that's enough. I have asked you politely and now I'm telling you, stop commenting on my tattoos. They don't come off. I'm not going to cover them and they are not against the rules. Your obsession with my skin is really weird. I don't appreciate it. This is the last conversation I intend to have with you about this. She was pretty taken aback that I thought she was being weird, but I didn't give her a chance to keep going. I just went back to work. She didn't speak to or about me for the rest of the week. By next week, she had settled on stilted, pass the salt style conversation, but only if it was a group thing. She still wouldn't speak to me personally. I'd say that's a win. Since we don't work on the same projects, this didn't have any impact on my workflow, so I was okay with the chilly silence. It beat the nagging for sure. Then we went on site to do an installation. We were warned that it would be hot and cramped and to dress in layers that we could shed. Of course, the inevitable happened. Carol and I ended up on different teams, and when we met for the mid-morning team swap, most of us were down to a tank top, me included. Carol got one good look and flipped out. She berated me about my lack of professionalism in someone else's workplace, and caused enough of a ruckus that Jane came to see what was going on. Carol went off on Jane about my continued blatant lack of professionalism, but Jane shut her down sharply. The team were reshuffled as planned and Carol got put on Jane's team. Apparently, she took that as an invitation to keep going and asked Jane why she hired me and then why she tolerated me. Jane's answer: I hired her for a skill, not her skin. Jane may be my new favourite boss. Then she accused Jane of a lack of professionalism for doing so. About an hour after the team swap, Joe, the other owner, came in the company car with the HR lady on a day off and took Carol back to the workshop. She apparently stewed all the way back or read the handwriting on the wall, and when they got back, she got out the car, declared that she couldn't continue to work for such an unprofessional organisation, that she had her own reputation to look after, even if we didn't care about ours, got in her car and left. That was the last we've seen of her, although there has been a scathing review posted to Glassdoor since then. The next day, Jane had individual meetings with all of us, and the day after that, the workroom staff meeting. We, myself and the 3 senior ladies that Carol had gone to complain, were chastised for letting it go as far as it did, without giving Jane a heads up, even if it was a "this is a thing, but I'm handling it" warning. The senior-most co-worker pointed out that none of them really had any power to do anything, and that has now changed. Oh, good, glad to see it. Jane is standing on business. Yes, love it. There is now a designated workroom supervisor and an end of the week "how are things?" check-in between that person and Jane. The workroom is a much calmer place now, and the interviews for Carol's replacement start next week. Also, a formal tattoos, piercings, hair colour policy is being added to our employee handbook. Basically, anything goes as long as it's safe to have around machinery and not offensive. Exactly! As long as what you have on your body is not offensive, as in, i.e., you've got somebody's fanny out on your arm and you're walking around work with that, because I could totally understand how that would probably not be acceptable in a workplace. Or you've got big dangly pieces of jewellery hanging from piercings that could get ripped out in a machine. Anything else, I think it's so silly to be like, that's unprofessional, it's unprofessional. Why? Why though? Like, when you really deep it, why? It's just stuff. It's just ink. It means nothing to anybody else. It's just a stupid standard society likes to try and uphold because what? I'm sure it all measures back to elitism somehow, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for your advice. I really appreciate the framework for my response to Carol. So, down in the comments of that Best of Redditor Updates post, Boba Sizzle, we'll go with that. This is such a satisfying update. Carol wasn't concerned about professionalism, she was obsessed and inappropriate. And the second that someone with authority shut it down, she imploded. I hired her for her skill, not her skin, is an all-timer boss quote. Glad the workplace got calmer and clearer policies out of it, exactly. And then Tea Before War says, Carol's complaining about lack of professionalism and the whole time she's the one acting completely unprofessional. Shut the F up and do your work, Carol. Exactly. Carol really just needs to get a hobby that is not worrying about what everybody else looks like. Like, oh my goodness. But we all know the type. We all know one. They're insufferable. Okay, so I think that's all we've got time for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Coven Void. Welcome. Don't forget to leave a comment offering for Big L. Tell me something wholesome. Tell me something good. Anything. It could be a wholesome fact, a cute fact, something good you've been doing, anything. Let's have a little bit of light in this absolute shitstorm of an existence we all have right now. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.